A very good evening to everyone. What I learned from the case study, and when we are entering into a business world, what is needed, and then what is the new trend that is being followed, what Toyota added to the world. So I would like to present that. First are the tools and techniques that were introduced by Toyota. As you can see in the diagram, the base was standardization. Everything was precisely defined, and each and every step was very clear, and there was a reason to do that. So I would like to share an example for this. So this is a car seat installation. What Toyota did was they had a standardized procedure. This was the installation for the right front seat, and there was a pattern in which this has to be done. This was done in around 50 seconds, and that was because there were only four bolts that were supposed to be drilled inside. And then one would say that what is a big deal in that? So what Toyota mastered here was standardization in their process. So first was there was a specific order in which each bolt has to be drilled. Then there was, as you can see in the photograph, there was a specified torque. So here, this is a technical term which states that how much pressure, how much angle should be there in order to twist and turn the bolt so that it is in the place. Then there was again a standardized time measurement as to what time period is needed in order to place this chair. Only four bolts are needed to be drilled, but still there is a time. And then at every time interval, if somebody is not able to this installation within the time gap, then there is a analysis done, or at the very moment there is a check done why the things are not happening the way they are said to be done. So there are few highlights here that there is a same order, same there is a set pattern, and then there are all the things are well defined so that there is no gray area for a person to think that okay, let me do this my way. In this process, what Toyota achieved was, even if somebody is very new, even if like you and I, we go to the company to install the seat, it would be very easy for us to do the same because each and everything has been listed down. So there is nothing left for our imagination to break the process or to delay the process. Then, if we come back to the model, I would like to speak on Kaizen now. So, this is a Japanese word which states that there is a change and that change has to be for some good reason. Here, what Toyota did was they wanted to bring some change in their company. They were implementing change on a daily basis. But then, on one hand, they are talking about standardization, and on the other hand, they are talking about change. Like, how is this going hand in hand? So, there is a secret behind it. Here, I've highlighted this. So, there was an example given in the case study about hypothesis formulation. What I have seen throughout the case study is there are a lot of scientific terms which are being used. One of the example for this hypothesis formulation was in a procedure of doing something. Just if we take the example of installing that seat, car seat. So there were two hypotheses that could be formed. One is the person that is doing the activity is capable of performing that correctly. So this is the first hypothesis. And the second is the performing of activity is actually it actually creates some outcome. So one is the person is able to do it, and the other is the activity should culminate to some desired output. So if the first fails, that means the person is not rightly trained. So the first hypothesis fails, then they start working on training their employees. And if the second fails, then that means the entire process is not correct. So then they start reinventing a new process. So here there was a scientific approach, and this also led to a system which they called changed base hypothesis. So that means if somebody has formulated an hypothesis and then it fails, so they can bring a change into the company by creating a new pattern. But again, it has to be standardized. So in this manner, we can see that how there are changes happening in a scientific pattern, but also there is a rigidity and the standardization that has been instilled throughout the process. There is a drill down analysis which I found out, a scenario where a drill bot was broken. So then they tried to drill down the fact to, like, they kept asking whys questions, one after the other, that why is this particular thing happening and what is the root cause. So they went to the root cause, and then they found out that because there was some lack in the measures, or there was some gap in information, that particular robot failed. So it was actually a less informed procedure there. So then they reinvented the entire procedure, and then they went through again the standardization process. From these two examples, what I think we can conclude is that the entire community of Toyota, all the people which were working there, they were a scientific group of people. So they knew how to use science, stats, and then implementing in daily work that they. So there was a very specific, to the point answer to what person has what responsibility. So this also tells us about principles of management, unity of command, unity of direction, and a right place for right thing. So this has been highlighted throughout the case study. So for which they had a lot of examples. One was Kanban signboard, where one person signals to the other that they need certain equipment or they need something. And then if you can see in the PPT, there is this to-do board. So the person is doing some task that would be listed. And if somebody is calling to the person, additional information is added. So something that is to be done, or what they are doing, or what they'll be doing in next 5-10 minutes. So this tells every person when and where they'll be needed after some time, and where they are occupied right now. So this is ongoing electrical panel with every employee, so they know where they are and where they'll be going. Standardized procedure in order to define what person should be where at what time. The ardon cord, where if somebody thinks that there's something wrong in the procedure, they pull this cord, and then the team leader comes, and then they deal with the problem. A very good method in order to remove all the discrepancies. So throughout the process, there were people helping one another, and they were working in a very set format, so that there is no chance for error, no chance for delay. There is no problem that is created which they do not know a solution of. So everything was well planned. So I would like to highlight the areas that they were very good at planning and very good at analysis. So they used to do, and they still do, analysis on the very spot. So if they find some problem, they do it. So, rather than keeping it hanging somewhere, that problem is catered to at the very moment. So that is what I think everybody should do in their daily life. And I think I would also start implementing all these principles. That's it. Thank you.